In this video, we're going to review the macroeconomic circuit model. You may have learned this model before since it's a part of most introductory macro courses, so it may not be new to you. For the purposes of this lesson, I want to make sure it's really clear what assumptions underpin the model and what the model implies so that you are prepared to critique the model. Okay, let's get started. In the macroeconomic circuit model, there are two main players. On the one hand is all of the people that need to work in order to have money to buy the goods and services that they need. In economics, we assume that when people live together, they pool their incomes into a single household budget, and then they use that pooled income to make purchases of goods and services, or consumption, for the whole household. Picture a nuclear family household where one adult earns income on the market, the other adult attends to household duties, and the entire family shares the food, housing, clothing, and education expenses. This assumption is why people are represented as households in the macroeconomic circuit. Households are assumed to have one major objective: the well-being of household members. To achieve this, they have to meet the needs of their members. Households used to produce many of the things they needed for themselves, like food and clothing. But these days, the vast majority of production happens outside of the household. This means that households must purchase the things they need, and to purchase things, you need money. The model assumes that households generally get money in two ways. First, by selling the time and effort of household members to businesses, getting a job, or second, by investing money they already have into businesses who pay them back with dividends. Either way, the household must interact with one other player to have their needs met: businesses. In economics, we call businesses firms, and they are the second major player in the macroeconomic circuit. Businesses are assumed to have a different objective than households. Their objective is profit, which they use to grow. Businesses take advantage of division of labor and capital, which means they need workers and money to invest in order to achieve their goal. On the other hand, businesses need customers to buy the products and services they provide. Households meet all of these needs for businesses. They sell the time and effort of their members as labor to the businesses, and they can invest with the business any surplus money that they have. Putting businesses and households together, as we've construed them with our assumptions, gives us the market economy, which operates as a circuit. Businesses meet household needs by providing goods and services. Households meet business needs by providing labor and investment funding. And money circulates from households to businesses via purchases and loans, and from businesses to households in the form of wages and dividends. This is the basic model of a market economy. In this circular flow, every exchange is mirrored between a household and a firm. Every purchase is also a sale, which results in demand, supply, and money being perfectly coordinated. This is an obvious abstraction from reality. All models are abstractions from reality, but the model can be made more realistic by adding in two more major players: banks and the government. By introducing government, our macroeconomic circuit model is now going to represent a specific domestic economy of a country, not just an abstract economy. Now the economy is bounded by the government that oversees it. It can be hard for a household to know where to invest money, and it would certainly be difficult for businesses to petition each individual household for a loan. In economics, when people can't easily get the information they need, or when it's hard to match up exchanges in the market, we call it a transaction cost. Banks exist to streamline these matching issues and thus decrease transaction costs. Banks collect any extra money households don't want to spend yet on purchases. This is called savings. Firms can then go to the banks and borrow these savings. The bank benefits firms by collecting small pools of household savings and aggregating them into larger loanable amounts. The bank benefits households by collecting all of the information to vet borrowers of the money. Sometimes the market doesn't provide everything households need. In economics, this is called a market failure. The government steps in to overcome market failures by taking money from firms and households in the form of taxes and investing that money into providing jobs, goods, and services that households and businesses need. The best example of this are public services like education and policing, and utilities like roads and sewage systems. When money leaves the household business circuit, it is considered a leakage in the circuit. When money comes back into the household business circuit, it's considered an injection into the circuit. Savings are a leakage of money from the household business circuit into the banking sector. Loans and interest are injections of money back into the household business circuit from the banking sector. Likewise, taxes are leakages from the circuit, and public jobs, goods, and services are injections back into the circuit, both related to the government. There's one other source of leakages and injections, the international market. When we sell our goods and services to buyers in other countries, our economy acquires some of their money. Thus, exports are an injection of money into the domestic economy. On the other hand, when we purchase goods and services from sellers in other countries, our money leaves our economy, making imports a leakage of money in our economy. Now let's look at the whole picture of the economy with the four major players: households, firms, banks, and government. In these various series of transfers and exchanges, all money is accounted for in the economy. Households and firms are generally running the circuit, but banks, government, and international trade create side channels of exchange and transfers. Note that if the government's budget is balanced, which means their taxes equal state spending, and if trade is balanced, which means imports are equal to exports, and if banks are loaning out all savings, the economy appears to be in a balanced state of total and constant flow, like a machine with everybody's needs being met. Pause for a moment and make sure that you can explain every arrow on this diagram and whether it is just a part of the macroeconomic circuit between households and businesses, or there are leakages or injections being made. The macroeconomic circuit model is the starting point for this class for one main reason. It implies that everything in the economy is connected. You can't change something on a household level, for example, without having consequences somewhere else in the economy. And those consequences may create consequences elsewhere, a ripple of consequences through the economy. If you implement a new government policy, it can have a ripple effect through households, firms, and/or the banking sector. It doesn't matter. Any change you make is going to have related changes rippling out from it, because if this model is correct, the whole economy is operating on a circuit. It's all connected. In the next video for this module, you'll see a critique of the macroeconomic circuit model, a critique that I think is very valid. Despite this critique, though, the macroeconomic circuit gives us a starting point for conceptualizing how the emerging trends of the new economy might be creating ripple effects. In fact, they might themselves be ripples caused by some other change. Our goal this semester is to think through how our economy might be changing in light of these new trends and what they mean.